Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ion Canon podcast, your home for in-depth discussion on the lore, the narrative, and the big ideas of the galaxy far, far away. My name is Matthew. I'm coming to you from Underworld North Studios in Toronto. And as always, I'm joined from across the continent in Underworld, Orange County, by your friend of mine, Mr. Joel Davis. Joel, how are you doing this week?
Good. I mean, no big news on anything really.
Oh, yeah.
Totally fine. Everyone loves Disney. No big Star Wars thing going on. It's all good.
Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening.
Exactly. Exactly.
One thing that did happen was the Clone Wars. We're joking, by the way. Don't you worry, folks. What we did know what happened was the Clone Wars, and we all know that the real winner of the Clone Wars was one Sheev Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious, at least from a narrative and character point of view, and the overall perspective. But what about an institutional perspective? Between the main combatants of the Republic and the Separatists, is it possible to claim a winner or not? If the Empire is a successor state to the Republic, then does that mean that the clones were ultimately victorious in the war that bears their name? Or how about the ties that the New Republic and even the Resistance had to the Separatists, going all the way through the trilogies? So this week, if this sounds familiar, it's because we're picking up on our discussion from 2 weeks ago on successor states to look at its implications for understanding our history of Star Wars and of this pivotal event in the galaxy that is the Clone Wars foundational event, I would argue. So yeah, stay tuned for that. We are talking about some of the things too, things that are happening. But before we do that, get the plugs. You can follow us on Blue Sky at Ion Canon, EYEONCANON.bisky.social. And you can follow the whole network. Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit, but you can follow the whole network at the SWU. That's all over the place. That's Instagram. That's on. They got a Facebook page. We got a Facebook page. We got an Instagram. We got Twitter, Threads, even their own Blue Sky account that Ben has the helm too. So yeah, check that out. Pick those back up at the end. Also, if audio is more your speed, we're on Spotify. We're on Apple. I'm pretty sure we're also on YouTube podcasts if we're on YouTube. So you can download us, I believe, on YouTube Music. So check that. I should actually look into that just to make sure. But yeah, please do check us out there if that's where you prefer to get your podcasts. And also a quick plug to my other podcast, The Tractor Beam. Follow us there, the new Blue Sky account there, The Tractor Beam. Biscuit.social there. As mentioned, we are proudly part of the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Here on the channel, on the YouTube channel, we got memberships, we got super chats. So if you chat with us, comment down below as normal. We'll be happy to respond as best we can. If you super chat us, we'll get to it immediately. We'll interrupt. We'll say, we'll at least answer and respond and get to it immediately as best we can. But definitely grateful for any support you can provide to the channel and to the network. And of course, on the Discord server, we got conversations all about that teaser trailer that dropped today, all about different shows, different things happening in Star Wars and Marvel and other properties. DC got threads there, mostly Star Wars, but whatnot. So you down below, get the link in the description. You can find that and get into our Discord server. And Joel, any events happened recently? Any events coming up?
This week, let's see, what did we do? Oh yeah, last week we watched Lego Rebuild the Galaxy. We watched the whole thing. Nice. So that's fun. This week we might reschedule a game night. I have not decided yet for maybe perhaps a Wednesday, because on Friday we're going to go back to the world of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons,
Nice.
with our little group. So I want to make sure that everyone has a free game night for other things that aren't D&D, because sometimes they can take a while. And yeah, so we're gonna look out for that.
There you go.
Maybe not next Wednesday, but maybe definitely soon.
Yeah, I mean, you're not free this coming Wednesday, by the way, because once we're done talking about Afro Chaos Agent, then we'll bring you in to talk. I haven't told Chris this yet, but we'll bring you in to talk about that teaser trailer. That
Last
the podcast.
Minute, hello.
There we go. I won't tell him. I'll just. No, I'm kidding. I'll give him a heads up. But normally every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on this here YouTube channel, and also it's got its own Spotify and Apple podcasts and YouTube podcasts and Blue Sky account, all that jazz. Chris Abbott and I talk about the comic books that came out the past week, that day in Star Wars. Only one book coming out this week, Afra Chaos Agent. So eternally grateful that Lucasfilm decided to drop this trailer this morning, because there's only one comic, so we got more to talk about there. So, clearly that factored into their decision heavily. Don't worry, I'm not delusional. It's just a joke, guys. But yeah, so we're gonna chat about that as
They
well.
care about the podcasters, Matthew. They care about the
They
podcast,
do.
clearly.
Tony Gilroy said that. There we
Yeah.
go. There we go. Yeah. Sometimes. So yeah, check that out this Wednesday again, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on this year channel. And also on this channel, one last plug, the comic book Fan Expo Canada panel that Ash and I did with Ethan Sachs and Paula Villanelli, mostly about bounty hunters, as well as a bit about Podem and Rammer and Codebreaker and whatnot, is also here on this channel. So please do check that out. It's also on Spotify and Apple and everywhere. Lastly, plug. Bring this back up. Whatever. The interview I had with Tessa Gratton from last week, that is up as a standalone just on the audio feeds on Spotify and Apple. So if you're interested in listening to the whole interview straight up, head right over there and check it out. If you want to listen with our commentary or watch with our commentary a bit interspersed, or we pause to reflect on it, that is of course last week's Eye in Canada episode, so you know where to find those. But yeah, I think that does it with the plugs. So Joel, I will turn this over to you, because we just gotta talk about it now. We gotta get to it. It came out this morning, so we're gonna do it. I'm sad about that teaser.
Yeah. Before we begin, I just want to kind of like lay some info for everybody. There's a lot of conspiracy going around that they put the trailer out because of the Kimmel situation, trying to distract us. Although Kimmel's back now, so you're gonna do that. Well, distraction. But also, these things are planned. Okay, these things are like planned ahead of time. Like they don't just drop a trailer like that to hat. I mean, maybe sometimes. I mean, maybe every exception.
Can you imagine?
But like these things are like planned in advance. Sometimes things change. Sometimes, but it's like there's always a general plan of these marketing things. So anyone who's like, it was all distraction to get us involved, Kimmel. Like, from what I've heard, it was supposed to be last week, but they actually didn't do that because they didn't want to get it involved with the Kimmel thing. So, if anything, that would have been probably even worse to put it that week. So, just kind of want to get that information out there for anyone who's being all weirdly conspiratorial about this. But yeah, let's actually talk about the trailer now itself. I liked it. I think it's a good, fun teaser trailer for a film that I kind of know what I'm going myself into. It's all about the vibes, and the vibes are, here's cute Baby Yoda doing Baby Yoda stuff, and Mando kicks ass, right? It's gonna be a fun
and Zeb,
of course, and some Zeb, and some Zeb fun. But this film's just gonna be like, like Mandalorian Grogu, just kind of back to basics. Mando and Grogu doing some stuff. And there gets a fun summer blockbuster. It's probably going to be smaller scale. We know it's a lower budget film. It really just has to make like 400 million to break even. They'll be doing that and more. And it's not, if you want the Force Awakens kind of grandeur, you're probably not going to get that. So don't go into this movie expecting it. Just expect kind of low stakes but fun action movie for the summer. In some ways, I think it's kind of like everything Solo probably could have been and should have been, but for a variety of reasons, it just couldn't be. So yeah, I think it's fun times, fun vibes. Do you want me to read the synopsis for the movie?
I mean, I a few things I do want to comment on the Kimmel thing.
Okay.
I mean, it's the internet. Like I messaged you privately. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe anymore. Look, I do believe that maybe they planned last week and then just did not not let it get drowned out by all that noise, because there was going to be not noise, all the ups, people understandably being upset and straight up worried about the state of uh, free speech in America. Oddly and ironically enough, sadly enough, tragically enough, because of course the Kimmel firing was kind of nonsense. It's not like he actually said anything actually offensive. There's some folks who have been. There's a DC Comics writer who actually did say something insensitive, I should say, about Charlie Kirk, but Kimmel didn't. So clearly there was more going on there, and folks canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions, and some very powerful folks pulling out of a concert, and all these different things that wildly enough did work. And we know there's a lot of internal rancor about this as well. So I understand the decision to not show it last week. It's just, did they have a plan? Why a random Monday morning is my question. Again, what's going on with Disney, with Star Wars, especially with their promotion? It's still, that's just the weird thing to me, is why I'm random. I mean, better than a Friday afternoon. I will say that, better than a Friday afternoon. But
funny enough,
why
Ben,
not?
I got a funny story though. Ben called this. Ben, I got a story like so.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what pockets are for. I was so like last night I was talking to Ben on Discord. I'm sure it'd be fun me telling the story. And for some reason he texted me, like he said, like, I just have this gut feeling that Disney's gonna pop the trailer in the morning. Because there were rumblings already, like the trailer's gonna come next week. Because they pushed it next week.
Sure.
Kimmel thing. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Like I was always kind of curious if like the Kimmel thing and the trailer would almost happen close to one another. Because there was also rumblings of like they were spooked and they were going to reverse course really quick. At least it sounded like.
With Kimmel, you messaged me about that.
Yeah, it sounded like that. So I'm kind of wondering, like, okay, what can come first, Kimmel or the trailer? Long story short, I guess the trailer came first.
By a few hours, though. That's it will happen on the same day.
That's kind of funny. Ben didn't predict the Kimmel thing, but he did predict the trailer thing, and he was like, "Call me if the trailer comes out." And he woke up before I did because I was awake. So I was like, "Oh shit, the trailer's out." And then I showed my dad, and he was like, "Okay." But it's got 5 million views on YouTube, and my dad loved it. So you know what? Maybe we as fans just need to have a different mindset when it comes to marketing, because at the end of the day, it's for the people who want this guy. That's all that matters.
Yeah, this guy. We both have him on our water bottle. I didn't know that.
Oh, cool. I got.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Shoot up.
So yeah. I mean, again, I have no idea in terms of the strategy regarding like, I mean, the effect at least of it's part of restoring sense of goodwill and excitement around Disney after it risked taking a nosedive last week. So that at least we can say we know what it's doing in tandem with Kimmel getting reinstated, in tandem with I don't know, who knows, maybe folks will re-up their Disney Plus. I know my Disney Plus is actually in November going up by $50 Canadian, so that's a bit of a concern. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. But yeah, so that much we know about the effect of it. That concert's back on, who knows what not. So I mean, good to know that kind of pressure can work if you're wealthy enough, poking the bear. In terms of the trailer itself, and here's the thing I want to say is I've heard a lot of, you've heard the stuff about Kimmel. I've heard the stuff about, oh, it doesn't do anything, doesn't say anything, doesn't give us anything new. I've heard folks saying, what's the point of this? Maybe that's why they release it on Monday morning, because it doesn't really show anything new, sure, but it really gives an exciting vibe. It gives an exciting, the feel of adventure and of Mystery a little bit, but the team, the Mando and Grogu going around, taking on missions, and we get that sense. And so, what seasons 1 and 2 of the show, what way they really worked, what was really popular about them. I like season 3, but I can see, at least in terms of this trailer, in retrospect, it was a bit of a departure from that that exciting action adventure that seasons 1 and 2 had. And so what this trailer is saying is, it's not a trailer, it's a teaser. It says trailer, but it's a teaser. The trailer gives more story, and you'll get the synopsis in a bit, but a teaser gives the feeling and the vibe. I mean, even the Razor Crest is back, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
It's repainted. It's obviously a new ship, because we saw the one go kaboom on Tython. But yeah, I thought it was exciting. The one exception to my whole thing with seasons 1 and 2 is, especially season 1, but gonna be a lot more New Republic, I think. Sigourney Weaver's character with that rebel insignia, showing, and again, we're gonna get the synopsis soon, but we're gonna see how he's more connected, and then, like I mentioned, Zeb, what a shot, kicking butt, taking names, like we know him to do with that staff thing, but in a photorealistic live action CG as opposed to an animated. Gonna be incredible. So it got me excited. And the last thing I'll say is what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like you said, the excitement of it there being a film. There's a Star Wars film. Like, it's not, like you said, it's not gonna be Force Awakens, but it kind of felt or the budget and scope and grandeur of Force Awakens, but it felt like the sense of excitement of Star Wars is going to be on the big screen again, and it is happening. They released this thing. I mean, clearly they're not going to pull the plug now. So it really helped bring that up. This thing to look forward to, May 22nd, 2026. The last thing I want to say, but you want to talk about the poster. Sorry. The last thing I wanted to say is I loved the Grogu scale shots. That was amazing, right? That we haven't really gotten much of that, right? We've mostly seen Grogu from above, from the human scale, but in that tunnel with his Grogu and then the Anzellan, it's like, oh, it's from their scale. It's their that's the thing with Anzellans and what's his face, the Meber Gascon, whatever his species is. From their point of view, they're the normal height, and then the humans are giants. They get used to it, but yeah, for us to get used to the fact that they're to get into their mindset, into what Grogu and the Anzellans are just how they encounter the world, how they encounter the galaxy. I'm looking forward to that. So that was really, really good cinematography, I should say.
Yeah, I've been thinking about other teaser trailers, and I do think like maybe the thing about this teaser trailer, because I'm thinking back to like the Fourth Awakens teaser trailer, even Rogue One teaser trailer.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of plot in those teaser trailer either. It was just vibe.
Yeah.
Now, I do think though that, and maybe this is the unfortunate thing about Mandalorian Grogu, where I can kind of maybe see the problem, or maybe like if there's any kind of the weirdness of it is. And I think in some way this will also help Mandalorian Grogu in terms of like my solo comparison.
Right.
Mandalorian Grogu is still a very known quantity, where Force Awakens, that first trailer where it's just like that pop up of Finn's head, and then Rey on the scooter, and then the Kylo Ren thing. Like, there is a lot more mystery to that. I mean, the mystery box marketing of it all, but also just in terms of like, holy shoot, like it's the Falcon. We haven't seen that in decades. Like, what the heck's going on? And then with Rogue One, again, it's kind of that vibe of, ooh, this is kind of dark Star Wars. And look, regular soldiers, not Jedi, they're running from AT-ATs on the ground. which is in a scene that's not even in the movie because they cut it. Whereas Mandalorian and Grogu is very much kind of a known quantity. So if you're used to Mando and Grogu adventures, you probably aren't seeing anything truly original.
Yeah.
To some extent, so I can kind of see that. But again, I also think this movie's gonna probably maybe hit a larger audience, and I think it's sort of like, well, if you watch the show, I mean, unless the Kimmel thing really is hurting Disney in the long run here, which unless Disney does something really bad in the next 6 to 8, 9 months,
I wouldn't put it past them.
who knows? Maybe you never know. That could hurt it. But I do think unless Disney does something like that, where they're like, oh no, I'm not going to see another Star Wars film anytime soon.
Yeah.
Hey, that you do what you do. I think fans of the show, look, there's nothing. We're not gonna not see this movie, right?
Of course.
Right. I think that's what a lot of fans are missing is we're gonna see this movie. General audiences are probably gonna see this movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, could you get the poster up just for a hot second, if possible?
I'll try.
If you can, because I really want to talk about this for a few minutes. I know I don't want to drag this on too long, but this is But I gotta talk about it because I think it really. By the way, I love the title.
Yes,
I love the title logo.
I think here we go. This should be good. Okay, let's see. Share screen.
Here we go. There we go. Okay. Because I love this poster. Once the poster shows up, because there's some interesting things in the poster. Or maybe the poster won't come. Uh-oh. Or maybe Matthew's dead. I think he might have died on us, folks. Well, Matthew's dead. I'll talk about the poster via. Well, his internet crashed. Well, I'll talk about the poster just via my own memories of it, folks. It's very pulpy. It's very pulpy. Oh shoot. He really did crash on us, folks, didn't he? That's not good. Which I think is really another thing that sets the tone of this trailer, this whole show. He crashed. I'll keep talking. So that's nice, and also the twins from Book of Boba Fett are in this as well. I'm actually very curious about the whole Hut situation in this movie. For a variety of reasons. I'm kind of curious, that is something I am curious about, and I think I can understand maybe people's frustrations. What is the plot of this dang thing? Where's what is the plot? What is the emotional core of this movie? I am kind of curious about it. Because my guess is probably we open up with oh, there you are. There you are.
Yeah, that did not work.
Well, anyway, I was just talking about the poster via my memories, so we can talk about that via the memories.
Let me try and
okay,
get it out quickly, but yeah, keep talking.
But I was talking about the story, I'm kind of curious, what is the story here? What is Din's arc in this movie? What did he learn? Because I do think season 1 and 2, he does have a very clear arc in this, and that is the arc of kind of learning to become less of a quasi-selfish. No, he's not that bad. Bounty hunter, and learning about his dad, and connecting with Grogu, and kind of opening himself up to the wider world. And I'm kind of curious, what is? Here we go, the poster.
I did it.
Because here's the thing, I love this poster, guys. This poster is this is sort of the such a tone thing. Look how pulpy it is. This is sort of you're here to have a fun time, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna be kind of depressed or sad with Andor or an Acolyte, or kind of not as wizardry as maybe Ahsoka. Maybe more in the line of Skeleton Crew, which is a bit more 80s. But here I feel there's even even older pop. And also the twins from Book of Boba Fett. Look at that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you were thinking when you saw that buff hut, but I think that's Rhoda. I think that's Rhoda the Hut.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be Rhoda.
I think that's our Stinky. And I
Isn't that
kind of
what we thought? Yeah.
yeah, and I'm I kind of have like, and I could be wrong. I this isn't going off nothing. I promise. Um, is I'm kind of wondering if like the idea for this film is maybe the twins are doing something,
Right.
and the New Republic like, hey, you need to use your underworld connection to deal with the twins.
Mhm.
Maybe they want to like put Rhoda the Hut in power because like Rhoda could be like a more nicer Hut who's like maybe pro New Republic compared to the
Yeah.
twins who are probably helping the Empire. And then,
Right.
action, adventure, Din and Grogu learn some life lessons, etc., etc.
Mhm.
I have really no idea if this will lead into Thrawn by the end or not. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'm kind of leaning towards no, but maybe who knows. And yeah, but I really like this poster. Anything you want to say
Mhm.
about the poster before we wrap up next
I
week?
mean, yeah, those twins definitely suggest the succession struggle. That I mean, even having Cobb Vanth when in season 1 or 2, I forget. Uh, that's the thing with Rhoda in the Aftermath trilogy, at least. He's
Was
part
that
of.
Rhoda? Are we confirming that, or we just? I think that was never confirmed.
No,
I
it was
think that
never
was,
confirmed, but come on. I don't know. At least, or at least there was some hut that Cobb Vanth was trying to get in there. Well, clearly, regardless, Rhoda. I mean, he has a claim. If assuming huts do that by lineage, right? He has a claim.
primogeniture for Huts.
Yeah, primogenitor, and then but then these twins do try to mistake a claim. So I mean, it's just we'll see Boba in this, at least potentially, because where we left off, he's the daimyo of Tatooine. So there,
Possible.
and yeah, the fact that the Empire or the Imperial Remnant, New Republic, will still want to get involved. I think the New Republic cares about Tatooine more than the Empire did, would suggest if they're capable of caring about it. So that, yeah, I mean, definitely love that shot with the. I mean, we saw. I think we saw something about the walker falling off the cliff. I mean, that was
Yeah.
this great big, almost comedic, high budget, probably high budget scene. I mean, if it's CG, obviously, but no, they built a full size walker and chucked it off. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but then again, I'm really curious to know, Sigourney Weaver. Her character's right in there too. Partly, obviously, if you got Sigourney Weaver in the film, you want to put her face on everything because she's just that well known and costs the big bucks, and that's that talented. But also, makes me think they got her because I think the New Republic is going to have a decent sized role in this. At least I hope so. I've been wanting that kind of story for a while. So yeah, I mean, I'd be disappointed if it was too much about Tatooine, but it's going to be a little bit about Tatooine, and whatnot. So yeah. Why don't you talk? You also want to talk about the composer, the music, and the synopsis.
All right, so Ludwig Göransson's back. Hooray!
Mhm.
I don't have nothing to say. It's just he's great. I love him.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have our first true movie synopsis for this movie. It doesn't say much, but it's still kind of cool.
Yeah.
The evil empire has fallen, and imperial warlords remain scattered throughout the galaxy. But the fledgling New Republic works to protect everything the rebellion fought for. They have enlisted the help of legendary Mandalorian bounty hunter Din Djarin and his young apprentice Grogu. Yeah, that's pretty much that's probably the basic plot of the movie is
Yeah.
Din and Grogu gonna help the New Republic with something. Adventure awaits and life lessons happen.
Of Din Djarin by Pedro Pascal and Grogu as himself. I'm pulling out the comedic beats in this. This could be kind of a funnier take on Star Wars. I mean, we just got a pretty funny take, which we're going to talk about soon. But yeah, again, this is why I think we're going to get more of a New Republic story if they're leading with this. We're probably not going to have Sigourney Weaver show up all the time, but she's going to be, I guess, I don't know, the threshold guardian or the person who
She's their case manager. She's their
the case manager connects them with this mission.
Mhm.
I hope we see this guy, Carson. up at Toronto, Carson Teva. I hope we see him. I know Paul shared it on his Instagram. So there you go. Which it's kind of surprising we don't see him in this trailer or the poster, but it would make sense. It'd be nice to see him on the big screen. But yeah, it's wild that in season 1, like maybe the first episode, I think, Din says, or Grief Karga says, why don't you go to the New Republic? And Din saw the New Republic as a joke. And then here he's working for the New Republic, at least on a contract, to see, what kind of venture that probably, I mean, here's how it can connect to Thrawn is if there's like some mission that he has to go on to do to protect or to get something, pick something up, like some weapon or who knows what, super intelligence, who knows what, and that happens to and ends up connecting to Thrawn, and that they pull a Marvel and say we only find out at the end or at a post-credit scene or something.
Thrawn's like, fine, I will do it myself.
Well, that too, but more that, or kind of like how with Andor season 1, like we saw, he was building a piece of the Death Star all along, kind of thing. That this is definitely building to something bigger that they'll explore in Ahsoka season 2 and in the Filoni film, and so I think they'll want to seed something in, but it won't be too obvious until the sting, the hit at the end. We'll find out.
Yeah, I'll try to make this quick. I don't want to delay this any longer, but I am very curious, like how in sync are Mando and Ahsoka season 2 gonna be, because they are coming out the same year. I assume Ahsoka season 2 is next. How much is there synergy? I mean, obviously Dave is working on this, but like, is he working on this knowing what the order of events are? I am kind of curious. Like, I'm always concerned that we as fans are going in expecting deep dive in, and like maybe they're pulling back for that general audience to be like, no, this is a standalone adventure. You don't even really need to watch the show to enjoy this kind of a thing, because I do think this might have bigger reach. Again, unless Disney does something that just pisses their entire customer base
it's
off.
a film. I think it will have a bigger reach, and that's kind of why they want to go back. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
But I kind of do wonder if, like, because of that, they're going to kind of like, I think we as more where we've watched everything need to kind of be ready ourselves for like they may be a little bit more general audience nicer. Like, you don't need to. So I'm just kind of I'm mentally preparing others who might have this mentality to ready themselves and to take the art and the movie on its own terms, and not the I need Grand Admiral Thrawn and Din Djarin to have like a one-on-one showdown kind of thing. Where this sucks.
No, again, I think it'll be, if there is a connection, it'll be subtle.
Right.
You don't even have to pick up on it. You and I will pick up on it.
Right.
Or, I mean, no, I think they'll straight up tell us at the end if there is. But at the end,
I can see.
You know what I mean? And it won't be like some big thing. It might be, but probably not. It'll probably be some small piece that is maybe necessary, but a small piece. It's not going to be the focus. Thrawn is not going to be the focus of this film.
Exactly.
The focus is going to be Din and the New Republic and Grogu and everything. I mean, it is season 4, effectively, right?
Pretty much.
Which,
I mean,
and so, but here's the thing: is sorry, I'm kind of allergies. Here's where it'll connect is with the Empire and the New Republic, and the first mention we get of Thrawn on live action is in The Mandalorian season 3 with the Imperial Remnant.
Nope, season 2. It was season 2.
Season 2.
With the Ahsoka episode. It was the Ahsoka.
Right. Yes, of course. With the with Morgan, but then in season 3 with the Shadow Council,
right?
Really, the Imperial warlords remain scattered, and then of course, Ahsoka went more heavily into New Republic with, of course, Hera and
Right.
and them, but in Mon Mothma, for crying out loud. But this this will have more pronounced presence of it. Season 3 was primarily about Mandalore.
Right.
I mean, this will be more about the New Republic. I mean,
Right.
there was going to be this whole show called Rangers of the New Republic that was going to go into this. We know what happened to that, but here I think there's going to be maybe some of those plot beats are going to come through, and so we know so season 2 is going to be this big conflict between Thrawn and his Imperial faction. Effectively, we know Paleon's probably going to link up with him, and Hera and Ezra and whatnot. Yeah, and so I think there's a way in. I think at the very least, to answer your question, yes, Dave Filoni has everything mapped out. Just like with Paper Canon, we got the story group making sure everything within these two big screen properties lines up and are clear about how they relate to each other. More so, I mean, and you have to do it with this. You don't have to do it with Skeleton Crew, whatever, although it'd be fun if they showed up somewhere. This you really do have to, because it's a lot closer to the Skywalker saga. I mean, Ahsoka is part of the Skywalker saga. Sure. But yeah, Mandalorian and Grogu. Yeah, I mean, it's their big property, and so it's in people's minds and consciousness. So they'll really have to have a good sense of how it all works together.
So. Yeah, I'll just say, I'll just make my final point. As someone who's been watching the entire Mandoverse in release order, this is kind of the proof of the pudding of, is this all just one big super show and they just kind of divide it up? And I think they answered probably yes in the long run. So, and that's probably that's it. My last part, we can go to Lego now.
Yeah. So definitely Mandalorian Grogu, definitely part of this super show the series finale will be the Filoni film. Pretty sure. We're pretty confident about that. So speaking of continuity and the lack thereof, we got another Eyes on Screen. Having nothing to do with canon, nothing to do with continuity, but Rebuild the Galaxy, Pieces of the Past, as Jolie mentioned, watched it in the Discord. That came out on Friday. A bunch of folks, I'm sure, watched it in one sitting, myself included, more or less. I took a few breaks. So we can talk about it. I thought it was, it was a fantastic follow-up. I think I liked it better than the first Rebuild the Galaxy, and which was saying something, because that first Rebuild the Galaxy was great with I'm blanking on the characters in Dev, being a really deep villain. And then you have this again, it's Friday, lots happened since then, but this main villain who really not just wants to just chuck everything out, but he wants to, he ends up wanting to, this whole nihilistic thing, he wants to be alone. He ultimately can't, and that's the amazing thing, is he ultimately isn't capable of it. He needs Dev around, because like we see in his last whimper, so alone. And so it was really the main characters really coming to their own. I loved the whole Skywalker reunion. Really getting to explore. That's the thing about this. It gets to explore almost a what if. It is sort of the Star Wars version of what if. What if, Jedi Vader, and of course Padme is going to still call him Annie, and if her career goes off on the rails, we get to see Luke and Leia with their mother. How fun is that? So
I know.
It was, giving us these kinds of things, by the freedom and the openness to give us these kinds of things that we want without really affecting any kind of canon. It was a fun, exciting story. And just like in the first one, the emotional core relationship isn't a romance. It isn't I don't know if it isn't father son, it's brother and brother, which I mean, we had Luke and Leia, but
I
this
guess
really
Obi-Wan and Anakin are kind of that.
everyone and Anakin, yeah, a little bit, but of course the other side gets redeemed and comes back. So I mean, I wonder if there's going to be the kind of consequences of it at the end, but um, Jedi Bob is training him, and yeah, it's going to be not going to be. I enjoyed it. I should watch it again because clearly some of the details are kind of foggy, but man, goodness, poor Gil. I mean, I know I saw that in the trailer, but I want to see that. I want to buy a set of that. I want to buy the Padme's hut barge. I want to buy that. That looked glorious. So, yeah, great. Another successful, triumphant show. Very quickly, Joel, what are your thoughts on Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past?
Yeah, I liked it. Always a lot of funny meta humor. Like you can tell these guys kind of know what the discourse around fandom is. Like the Snoke pit. Like who's this
Oh,
Snoke
that was
guy?
amazing.
No one cares.
That was
I
amazing.
think I got a lot of laughs out of Jedi Palpatine, who I just find I just find hilarious. I just love the fact he's kind of a. Oops, I have to get it go for a second. I just kind of like the fact that he's kind of. Oh yeah, I don't know what happened there. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Trying to figure out the thing when he's gone for a second. Oh, anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I love Jedi Palpatine because it's sort of like he's still kind of a douche, but he's now like just a good guy. I love how when he's dueling oh, I forget the villain's name. But the main villain, he's like saying all the classic lines, but like now good guy version of the lines, right? And he even does the spinny thing, like the which is hilarious. And yeah, like Matthew said, I really like the Skywalker family reunion. It's almost like reading a fanfic, but but in Lego, so I think we can accept it more in kind of this weird sense of the way. Like, it's like, I mean, obviously, pirate Padme, whatever, but it's like, hey, look, it's the whole Skywalker clan and they can be happy.
Yeah.
Just for like a 5 seconds. Like I even got a little emotional where like Vader's like, Padme, I don't like sand. I hate sand. But what I hate more is regret.
Yeah.
It's like, God, that's hilarious. That's both
Yeah.
heartfelt and hilarious.
And true to the character. I mean, that's the thing. It's true to
Yeah.
Anakin. What he'd be
It it
feeling in the moment.
it,
Yeah.
it kind of makes you. It almost kind of makes you wish, and I don't know how this could ever work. And obviously, hindsight 2020. It almost makes you wish Vader and Padme could have lived, but they just were
Yeah.
like in separate parts of the world, and you could get White Knight Vader. It probably wouldn't have worked out, but it probably would have been too silly for regular Star Wars. But here it works.
Yeah.
I also love Padme's like loves Leia like with Luke like you remind me of your father, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But I love how Mark Hamill's like, oh my god, my mom's so cool, like it's great. That's also good. And, but at the end of the day, yeah, it is interesting. The brothers, of course, and
Mhm.
the actual core of the story, and kind of this weird. Everyone's got different play style, but let's all try to play together.
Yeah.
Very Lego heart
Mhm.
thematics going on, and I think that's
Mhm.
kind of adorable. So yeah,
Sig
I liked
Griebling
it.
and Dev Griebling, of course.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I didn't really watch the first one. I didn't jive with it the
Sure.
first episodes. Maybe I would have sure seen the whole thing, but I really liked the second one. I think you probably were. I think you're probably all right. Probably is better in some
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. It will be interesting for you to go back and compare. Because I mean the first one was great. It was. It just needed to it was an origin story of setting up the world and what's happening. And they're literally throwing up all the pieces and seeing what sticks. Literally. And here they're able to explore more of the potential for it, potential for the story. Also, I mean, I love that that's a way to bring in legends characters because it's basically saying they went to this phantom zone thing as opposed to getting chucked forever. They're not gone forever. They're just Revan's just in this phantom zone. He can come back. Jackson comes back. I mean, that's the thing. Jackson came back in actual canon, of course, by being Kevin Scott's comic. But yeah, to see that on screen too, the get Ahmed Best's voice again. I mean, Ashley Eckstein, always great to hear. Great to hear her. And yeah, it was trying to see who's the main villain? I forget.
I want to say Thanatos, but that's not it.
No, well that means death. I don't know, man. Barbarian Athol is the Jedi Bob. Solitus.
Solitus. It makes sense. Solitus Solitude. There we go.
Yeah. Yes. Susie Duros. Sith Breaker. I mean, that was kind of a similar Anakin vibes with being it's a disillusion with the Council, disillusion with the Jedi, but also very powerful. Yeah, and I mean Obi-Wan Kenobi. I noticed James Arnold Taylor doing more of an Alec Guinness and more of a Ewan McGregor than he normally does in that. So yeah, that was just a little detail that I kind of noticed there. So fun times.
All right. I think we'll have probably lots to say about Mandalorian Grogu. I'm glad this is the kicker to the marketing. I kind of wish the kill thing could have happened first, but no, well, at least it happened at the same time. I'm just glad it happens. I mean, they don't have to be weird and awkward about it. But I'm sure there'll be another trailer, maybe in December, or we got like what 8 months till this movie.
I mean, so maybe New York Comic Con. That's in a month. That's too soon.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think So yeah, probably December. Go to a random Monday morning in December, probably.
Maybe. Although they might want to get closer, because again, it's not till May. And I know marketing likes to get closer to the date these days.
That's true.
So but it's started. It's a coming. I'm sure there'll be more to come.
Yes.
But let's shall we get on with our discussion of who won the Clone Wars? Who won the Clone Wars?
Sheev Palpatine. He won the Clone Wars.
Good night, everyone. We're done. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I posed this question because Star Wars is doing something weird. Star Wars is doing something to me, Matthew. It's doing something weird to me. I'm kidding. I've noticed this in Rebels. I've noticed this in the Bad Batch book, which we're going to talk about. I've noticed this. I want to say I noticed it in a couple other places. I just don't remember. I know
it was the comic book last week. The ongoing comic.
Oh, okay.
I think this is where you're going.
Is that they've been doing this weird thing lately when talking about the Clone Wars of making it out to be not the Republic becomes the Empire and beats the Separatists.
Yeah.
But they've been framing it more as the Republic and the Empire and the Republic and the Separatists both lose and the Empire won. Treating the Empire as if this is some sort of third weird faction that no one saw coming, which I guess in some ways true. And I'm kind of just curious about what's that trying to say to us. Is that against what Lucas himself would thought? Is this a new way of framing the Clone Wars? And kind of what is the moral lesson here? Oh, we're trying to take anything on. Let me take a sip.
Yes.
Because, first kind of big point here. As someone who has very much been trying to, who kind of mentally, not in like this is true Star Wars, but just kind of has this like mental thing of like, okay, Lucas has his Star Wars 1 through 6 and Clone Wars 1 through 6. Lucas can't get past 6 for some reason. Like that's his stopping point, 6. Movie there is
a bit of technical difficulties there. Sorry.
Am I good?
That's better. Yeah, that's better.
Am I here?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Your previous mic was just a
so
little.
What I'm saying is, Lucas definitely. No, it was moving. That's why it does that. Lucas has through the visual language of the Clone Wars this thing of The Republic's becoming the Empire. We're seeing it in the ships. We're seeing it in the design. We're seeing it in the clones themselves. And the Separatists do look kind of like rebels. Like their ships kind of have that round look. They kind of have that that kind of bulkiness compared to the Republic Venators and the triangles and stuff. Although, funny enough, there are sort of X-wings in the Republic Navy as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think the idea is like the Republic is the government and the rebels are the bad guys. And then in the and then you get to the original trilogy. Now the rebels are the good guys, and the government's the evil people. And that metaphor kind of only works so much because obviously, the actual rebels of the Separatists don't all redeem themselves. At least the ones we see in the movie. Like, Grievous doesn't have a change of heart. Dooku's dead. Newt Gunray's not like Newt Gunray's like, I'm going to rebel.
Grievous is also dead.
That's true. I mean, yeah, Grievous is dead too. So like the rebels in the prequels, at least if we go by the movies, they're all dead. They all get killed by guys. Right. So that's very much Lucas's thing. I think, obviously Lucas talks about how it's the story of how republics become an empire, just like they did with Nixon. That sort of thing. We're all about Nixon, that's what Star Wars is about. But I've noticed again in a lot of newer stuff, there is sort of this kind of weird out, I feel, where kind of give the Republic of like both lost, the Empire won, and now everyone's kind of in flux now. I'm not quite sure what to make of that, and maybe that's just a case of when you expand beyond 6 films and 6 seasons of TV, you have to reframe things. Right? I mean, that happens. Even stuff like Anakin's redemption needs to get reframed a bit if you're going beyond 6 sagas and different people's perspectives. Obviously, so maybe the kind of the simple Republic becomes the Empire thing does become a little bit more complicated when you're kind of going more into the different factions and whatnot. But I guess even in the prequels themselves, to kind of have that out, you do have obviously Palpatine, his cronies, and the deleted scenes of Revenge of the Sith showing the early days of the Rebel Alliance with the delegation of 2000, Padme, Bail, Mon, all those senators, kind of what's starting, and obviously the Jedi themselves, as obviously opposed to the Empire. And I just think that's all kind of interesting. But I guess I'll throw it to you, Matthew. I'm sure you've noticed this too. What have you been noticing this reframing of the Clone Wars lately? And what are your just overall thoughts on it?
I mean, I don't know if it's a reframing. I think it's a framing for folks who didn't really catch what was happening in the prequels. By the time that Rebels episode comes out, the whole, my whole wave of prequelism was still pretty new, and people didn't quite grasp. We joke that Sheev won the thing because he did. I mean, you're not disputing the fact that the whole thing was orchestrated by him so he could rise to become emperor. That's the story we have, but it kind of needed to be spelled out because, as you mentioned, the story we're shown is Republic are good guys, clones are good guys, Jedi are good guys, more or less. Separatists are bad guys, nefarious bad guys, and it needs to be said. We're just getting to this part in the Bad Batch where a character says doesn't matter, just like what Ezra said. Didn't matter. That the Empire, I think Mask of Fear does this a little bit too, right? The Empire primarily takes the tools, the aesthetic, the mostly the personnel and the capital, and the institutions of the Republic, and reorganizes it into the First Galactic Empire.
Or Society.
Right, and Palpatine does that from the Republic Senate. And yet, I think it's trying to cast that the framing is trying to cast it as the Empire being so antithetical to what the Republic is trying to be and do. And because what the Republic is trying to be and do, we can point to at least someone like Lena So, for example, who, because we're all the Republic, trying to have this unity in this amidst this diversity of cultures and planets and whatnot. And the Empire is this, no, we're it. This is this order, and you don't like it. Well, too bad. And the I mean, that's the story we're presented, and so we need to know the deeper story that actually, I mean, the Republic was becoming the Empire by the concentration of wealth and power in the core. That got worse by the time, I mean, even, yeah, well, we don't know from the Acolyte yet, but certainly, but since Lena So, the Outer Rim was this place of expansion. The well, not even the Outer Rim, the colony region, whatever it's called, the Mid Rim was this exciting place of expansion. I guess it's hard to have a core periphery relationship when there isn't really periphery yet. So there's that. But with an expanded periphery comes more resources being funneled to the core, and therefore, basically, my point being is Palpatine takes advantage of that too. And so, in some sense, I mean, in some sense, it's both, and that's the thing. To continue on from our discussion 2 weeks ago, the Empire is and isn't the successor state to the Republic. It primarily is, I'd say, but there are ways in which it isn't. It's also, it's interesting to say how much of, like you said, how much of the Republic ends up in the Rebel Alliance, right? The coalition of 2000, and in the Rebel Alliance, there've got to be tensions between the Republic elements and the Separatist elements. We haven't seen much of the Separatist elements in the Rebel Alliance, right? Most we've seen, in at least in paper, is Lux Bonteri. Maybe some folks connected to Saw, oddly enough, but I think Saw, for example, would be incredibly distrustful of Separatists because of Stila and because of experience on Onderon, right? This PTSD, this memory of the war, as we're finding in the real world, how these impressions and vibes, right? The sense of this fear of sense of loss of security will lead people to be so defensive, even if the facts don't bear it out, right? So, to both Saw Gerrera and Sheev Palpatine, the Separatist alliance is a threat, even though it's more of a threat to Sheev than to Saw. My point being then is to say, yeah, there's the framing of, I don't know if it's a reframing, because I think what we need actually now is a reframing to see where the Republic, and see stories of where the Republic did continue into the Empire. I'm curious about that. I think, again, Mask of Fear tried to do that a little bit. That would make a clear answer that the Republic won the Clone Wars. But that's the thing. We're gonna get into it a little bit tonight, but I think there's, by and large, I mean, it's talking about the narrative. Like I said at the top, there's the narrative perspective and the overarching perspective, the Force mythos perspective. But in terms of actual institutions, state institutions, right? We just know kind of in background that a lot of these institutions from the Republic continued into the Empire. Maybe what that's doing, I think what we're trying to do there is even our own kind of sense of, again, Disney doesn't want to challenge too much, right? The Republic were the good guys, and we don't want to call them the bad guys. And the Empire is the bad guys. We don't want to call them the good guys. So we want to make a clear distinction between the two. And now, I mean, something like Andor, for example, that shows that we can actually have more interesting, more complicated stories. Maybe Raid of the Empire Part 2, forget what it's called. That will go into it a little more, because it'll go into, maybe the Republic wasn't always as happy-go-lucky. I'm saying that there's going to be an appetite for that now, which, oddly enough, that is also what George was trying to say and do as well, and to say the Republic won the Clone Wars via a Sith Lord. What does that say about the Republic? So,
Yeah, you talk about incorporating the Separatists into the Alliance. I don't think they were incorporated, though. I think that's still
right.
the thing. I think the Separatists are still the losers. I think it's
Yeah.
weird the Separatists are the ultimate loser because, like, well, they don't have a home in the rebellion because
Mm-hmm.
Mom Mothma, Graven, they don't like them. Like, we fought you guys. We don't like you.
I think there may be factions and elements that we just haven't seen yet. I can see that. And here's why I bring that thought up. Here's where this came from is, I think, D. Bradley Baker reflecting on Rex in Rebels, and how, I mean, this isn't a literal thing, but in terms of the Rebel Alliance's function in the galaxy, they're doing what the Separatists sort of did, right? They're fighting against the Coruscant government. And so Rex having to navigate being on the other side of this conflict. And so it is a type of separatism, resurgent separatism, in a way. I mean, they had different names, right? They wanted to restore the Republic. The Separatists wanted, at their best, wanted local rule and local governance to win out. But yeah, that's where my thought comes from. So I want to see that fleshed out more. You're right. We haven't seen it really. So I want to see that fleshed out. Yeah. So sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I certainly think it'd be interesting, like, how does the Rebel deal with non-alliance separatist factions? I'm curious
Yeah.
if they're out there anymore.
Mhm.
So there's that. But I do think
Mhm.
in some ways, the Clone Wars kind of does have
Mhm.
more than just the two factions.
Mhm.
Um, there are, you have, obviously the Republic. You have you have, like, when the actually fighting is happening, you have, of course, the Jedi who think they're defending the Republic against the Separatists in their Joy armies. You have
Mhm.
Separatists who think, like, we're fighting for separatism.
Yeah.
And then you have
Separatism. Quebec. Sorry.
Who
Oh.
and Sidious, who at the end of the day know what the end game is, and that is the Empire.
Yeah.
Um, they're manipulating the forces to
Mm.
fight until a certain amount of time has passed to where it's like, okay, now we can kind of flip the switch and get ready for
Mhm.
Empire.
Mhm.
That was Duke, at least in Revenge of the Sith novel, that is Dooku's plan. He's going to
Yeah.
surrender, make a deal, and then he's like, "Hey, all that bad stuff the Separatists did, that was Grievous, not me. I was." And then, Palpatine, Dooku are gonna declare themselves ruler of the galaxy, and Dooku thinks Anakin is gonna be like the third wheel of that, and they're gonna lead like a dark side army, and it's gonna be
Mhm.
great. A third new empire will come from the ashes of the Republic and the Separatists.
Mhm.
And then
And
it gets
all
real.
sorry, good.
Oh no, yeah, and then I'll go. Obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but then but also weirdly enough, even in the Republic, Palpatine has his conspirators. Clearly, Masameda knew stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Tarkin didn't know. I don't think Tarkin actually did know the whole conspiracy. I just think he was just, "Hey, this Palpatine guy is all about strength and order. I like that."
Yeah.
And when the Jedi are gone, oh well, I'm not gonna question it. Just get a promotion out of this. Like, I don't think he. In fact, I think if he knew, he probably wouldn't have liked that because Tarkin's like, wait a minute, we're trying to destroy the Republic. That seems very chaotic. I don't like
Mhm.
that. And then kind of like you divide between the pro Palpatine, anti Palpatine people in the Republic. So in some ways, maybe I have three factions, but like more like it's multiple factions, right? Where you
Yeah.
got like the Sith element, and then like the pro Palpatine people, and then like the loyalists who are like pro democracy, like in Padme's circle.
Mhm.
Even in the Separatists, like you have the Sith element. Then you got people like Grievous and Ventress who are like, let's just kill the Jedi. And then you got
Yeah.
the Neovoluntaries who are kind of more the ideologues. So it's like you kind of have all these weird
And
factions.
the Trade
All
Federation and the Techno
yeah,
Union and all those folks just want to make a buck.
exactly. It's like we
Yeah.
don't care. I don't know
Yeah.
how much they knew what was going on, but it's like
Yeah.
Duke Nukem is probably like, hey, you're gonna make me money, fine, whatever. Plan's going is great, Sidious. Keep
I
it up.
mean, that's fascinating. I mean, Newt Gunray knows explicitly this is Sith and Darth Sidious calling the shots. And he doesn't question it. Like he literally makes a deal with the devil here. Not literally. Well, yeah, basically. So yeah. So different factions.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. And then kind of when the Empire kind of collapses, I mean, kind of
Mhm.
rises and everything kind of collapses, they're like, well,
Mhm.
some people made it out, and
Yeah.
then Duke got beheaded.
Yeah.
So it's interesting,
Mhm.
and also, some people knew about the end game, some didn't.
Mhm.
Want to add anything to that?
Well, all that talk about Dooku in the end game, I mean, that's in right all over Christopher Lee's face. Right. That's one of the, that's probably an iconic acting moment in Revenge of the Sith is when Palpatine says Anakin kill him, and Dooku just gives him this look of utter and actual betrayal. Um, I mean that's Matthew Stover. I'll be curious to see the notes that we get in this novelization, if that, because it's contained in, I mean, this masterful moment of Christopher Lee's face. Like if you haven't noticed this, folks, look at, how could you not? Like it fills the screen. But Joel, you've noticed this, right? Christopher Lee, like Dooku's look to
Oh yeah,
Palpatine, like
so cool.
it's such incredible acting. And yeah, it contains this sense of, oh yeah, this is how I'm gonna win out. I thought we were loyal to each other. I thought we were gonna rule the galaxy as master and Padawan here. Master and apprentice, not Padawan. Master and apprentice. Yeah. Um, it's true. I guess what we could say is all these different factions then get reconfigured in the Empire, right? Um, the Palpatine loyalists and folks who want to make bank in the Republic, right? They end up joining the Empire because they were already there to begin with. Like I was getting at, the consolidation of wealth and power. But then also, of course, the Techno Union and the banking clan, they get nationalized, right? Palpatine says, "Oh, thank you, I'll take that." Um, the the weapons manufacturers and the Sinar and them Tag Core, they're all, I mean, they got nationalized too, but they're kind of wanted to be in the first place. I mean,
I don't know
that's
if they ever got
partly,
nationalized. I just think they just like, oh, we just get to make you even more money.
well, sure, not as nationalized, but certainly supporting the empire.
Right.
Um, I mean, what's fascinating, I mean, that's another effect of the Clone Wars is
Mm.
this massive militarization. Like you mentioned, all the way, well, this is Incom, because Incom make the V Wings too. But they make the Arc 170s, and then they make the Headhunters, and then they make the X Wings. But um, so that's a bit of a different direction. But yeah, I mean, Sinar, them whoever making Venator class Star Destroyer, like what kind of good faction uses the word Star Destroyer? It's Imperial Star Destroyer. Um, I love Venator, but clearly on a trajectory. So yeah, I definitely see your point. I mean, those that reconfiguration, and those factions that get configured toward the Empire, um, they end up winning. Is maybe another way of answering that. I think the Separatists. Yeah, to your point about the Separatists really being the losers, is the ones that get forcibly nationalized.
Mm-hmm.
They can't say they won. They end up probably.
Trade
I mean, I
Federation
think,
is the biggest loser, I think, of the corporations. But what Laura has said, it always sounds like.
yeah. So there's that, but I think well, Mask of Fear goes into Mon Mothma trying to tap into this wealth, tap into this self-interest to say this powerful chief executive, this theory of unitary authority, executive authority, is bad for business, as we're seeing also in the real world. you know, to say, okay, can that be an angle of resistance as well? So there's that. I mean, even the bounty hunters in the underworld, they end up. This is something we see in the bounty hunters comic, for example. They end up having to pick a side at the end of the day because, and they end up, most of them I think pick the rebellion because a unitary unitary government. Some of them are winners for a time, but a unitary government, authoritarian government, is bad for their business too, unless it's useful to the empire, of course. But yeah, it's all these different factions. Yeah, I guess they get reorganized again.
Reorganized.
What's the word I used? Reconfigured.
I mean, maybe this is something, and this is something I think Star Wars has never really done. Because Star Wars, and even to some extent, it's always been kind of like this. Is we got the big factions, but let's face it, nothing the monolith in life. Everyone wants to act like everything's the monolith. It's not everything. Nothing the monolith. Even political coalitions exist. Even the current president has a political coalition with all different factions. The only thing keeping them together is his weird willpower. It's gonna be fun when he's not around to see them all go at it. But even the Democrats have their own factions as well. Well, that's the problem with the two-party system, right? It's like you're either in it or you're not, and if you're out of it, well, you kind of too bad. But even small parties have their own factions. But trust me, parties of 10 can sometimes have their own factions. Like me and Bob are our own faction.
Gosh, I mean, especially the small. I mean, well, the
weird small leftist parties. They got all weird sectarian.
Well, and that's my mind went to Life of Brian, Monty Python's Life of Brian. The People's Front of Judea, the Liberation People's Front of Judea. Just any kind of, especially if they're tend to want to protest against the central authority, they're less likely to fall in line. They're more likely to be more loosely organized.
But I'm talking about even like in the states of the Separatists and Republic, obviously, and we got a little bit of that with heroes on both sides. Obviously, we know in the Republic we have the Palpatine loyalists, the kind of who are always very militant, who've always wanted this strong central authority Republic military. We have the Padme side, who are kind of more aligned with the Jedi. The Jedi are kind of their own faction in the Republic, their little power center. Jedi loyalist. I'm sure you got some others, but for the most part, we got the flimsy people who are like, maybe today I'll side with the Democrats, then tomorrow I'll side with the Palpatines, right? It's back and forth. Here we got the squishies, and I think that because we just don't see that kind of unmonolithic nature of these factions. It is kind of easy to kind of just say like, oh, Separatist Republic, and then they fight, and then the Empire, where it's sort of like, well, when the big war ended, and then kind of everyone's kind of like, I mean, you were talking about this, so I think I'm just repeating myself. It's like, okay, the Parliament, the Nina Von Terry groups, kind of decide, okay, well, we'll get back in with the Republic. We kind of have no choice. The hardcore Separatist militants probably tried to hang out, but Empire crushed them. And they could probably do it easily because, like, hey, look, it's still a Separatist. Look, they're still using battle droids. Remember those guys? The corporations, depending on which corporation. It's like, okay, Trade Federation, we're going to destroy you because you just have terrible PR. You're so toxic. You got it. I mean, it's true. I think the Trade Federation probably are the biggest losers because, like, they're the ones who are, like, so associated with the evil, right? Just with the Naboo crisis, like people kind of ignore the banking clan and maybe the techno union, but like the Trade Federation, like they did the hardcore stuff. So it's like we blame you specifically, even though the other ones are probably just as crooked. But they kind of got to like weasel their way back in. But the Trade Federation is like, so it's like you got to like got discipline. them.
Yeah.
And then, the Tarkins of the world get to do their thing.
And again, that's the story the point George is making, as we know, about how, like, again, I talked about how Trade Federation doesn't question, oh yeah, the Sith Lord make us money, sure, good, money good, Sith neutral, why not? Money good, Sith good, all that. Yeah, that they it's the story George is saying about um you a system that is so controlled by money. We think that's good for democracy. Capitalism says democracy equals the freedom for everyone to make as much money as they want and can, but ultimately it's an erosion of rights, an erosion of freedoms. So yeah, I mean, in a way, then, so yeah, the Trade Federation, they become a big winner if they willingly go along with willingly along with their nationalization. Yeah, certainly with the New Republic, they're going to be suspect. Along with, I mean, that's another story would be interesting to hear. We don't have it, but along with the real skepticism about militarization in the New Republic, let's also get a story about how skeptical of, oddly enough, I mean, that's the thing, skeptical of letting like an independent financial entity have that much power and wealth. Oddly enough, I mean, here's the thing, kind of leftist that I am, nationalizing the bank isn't the worst idea, unless it's given over the winds and temperaments of whoever happens to be in power this week. But yeah, I'm curious to know, if the New Republic, like I said, they care about the Outer Rim before. So that's another thing. Separatists, the Trade Federation was representing the Outer Rim, at least ostensibly, funding it. Yeah. What of the New Republic do they incorporate and what don't they? Yeah. I think your microphone still isn't plugged in. There we go.
Oh, hello. Am I here?
Yes, you're good. We're good.
Sorry, I'm having mic issues. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's the way the plug is. It's the way my wheelchair is. I think I'm fine now. Okay. Anyway, I
Yeah.
think that's the interesting thing about the New Republic is it is kind of, for the most part, with maybe like a few exceptions, made up politically of the delegation of 2000. It is that faction, is that group that all broke off after Palpatine took office and he became emperor. And it's like, oh shoot, we're gonna do something. We're gonna really do something.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like, well, I mean, that's sort of the. I mean, I guess that's the interesting thing. I'll say this, and then you can get my point.
Yeah.
And this is something Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire goes like. The Rebel Alliance is that faction, but then the New Republic comes along, and then it starts. And maybe this is where the problem happens. It starts incorporating those who kind of sat on the fence, like Senator Ziono, who clearly just like, oh well, I'll just be senator again. I don't know why, but okay. I guess I'm the only guy. And then some, like some of the Palpatine loyalists got jail time or like go retire. Masameda, don't get into politics. Stay away. Or Freetaw probably went to jail. I don't know. Did he ever die? I forgot what happened to him. The Twi'lek senator.
That's a good question.
I know he got shot in Bad Batch, but he was okay by the end. But I mean, Rylos, I guess, got independent, so I guess it didn't matter. But that's sort of interesting thing. Like, okay, New Republic's formed by the faction of the Old Republic that was pro Delegation 2000, but now it's got to reincorporate other elements into it, and then that stuff happens. But I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
Well, I mean, I was going to go into maybe my third point here. This thought here.
Sure.
Is, again, continuing this thought about the Rebel Alliance, it being a type of separatism, being a type of saying, okay, the Outer Rim. I mean, in the sense of the Outer Rim is being shafted. It's being, exploited. All these planets are being, not just the Outer Rim, but lots of planets are being exploited, and both the Separatists and the Rebel Alliance are resistance movements against uh, you know Coruscant based exploitation, effectively, uh, and concentration, like I keep mentioning here. And in a way, even the resistance itself, right, is yeah, it is no, it's a resistance movement against another sort of resistance movement, if you want to call the First Order a resistance movement. It's an infiltration of a neo empire that does end up getting power for a year. But maybe, I mean, here's my thought: is maybe Mina Monteri is the one with the real vision. Maybe she'd be happy with the New Republic. I think, at least at its best. You know that, because even by the Galactic Concordance, here's the thing: that having the moving capital, yeah, it's symbolic, but what a powerful symbol, right? If Coruscant has accrued all this corruption and all this all this power, all this wealth, again, for thousands of years, but especially for the last 100, how what an amazing, just the habit of all these institutions being based on Coruscant. And so your frame of reference and your focus, it's as if the film industry every 10 years up and moved, say the film industry, well, here's a weird thing that might be happening. Ups and moves to Las Vegas. Then ups and moves to Kansas City.
You used to be in New York in the 30s.
Right. But
Or
just
no, it's
say,
20s.
how much would our stories, the film stories that we hear and read, change, giving rural communities, giving other parts of the country more of a voice here? What if the New York Stock Exchange becomes the Toledo Stock Exchange for 10 years? I know, because it's kind of ridiculous, but the lack of any kind of accruing of this kind of consolidation, yeah, it's a real winning out of what the Separatists at their best, what Mina Monteri at her best was trying to go for. And so, yeah, I think there's
Yeah.
something there. And then, of course, ultimately, with Hosnian Prime being destroyed, because there's still, I mean, the New Republic's unwillingness to tackle the First Order maybe speaks to this nascent consolidation, this lackadaisical, we're not going to worry about what's happening up there. We see Jakku being so arid and economically arid, not just climatically arid or climate arid. But
Right.
now the Hosnian Prime is destroyed. Now
Mhm.
that the New Republic and the First Order is done, and the Resistance was never this strong institution to begin with.
Mhm.
We've said this multiple times, but now there really is no clear central authority. Kind of what Separatists were maybe hoping for a little bit, right? They were hoping it was confederacy of independent systems.
Mhm.
I think what the galaxy is now is a confederacy of independent systems after Rise of Skywalker. So
Might have to be. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It might have to be.
I mean, it's something, and it's something. I mean, the shows don't really get into. I feel like
Mhm.
the books kind of get into. It's been a while, and because we don't have a lot of books set in in the Republic era, it's kind of hard to
Mhm.
see if they're continuing this trend. I'm curious if the current set of comics are going to continue this trend
Mhm.
of, one of the big things. Well, there are a couple things.
Mhm.
One is this. I swear I read somewhere where now it says that senators need to be directly elected by the people. They can't just be appointed anymore. There's now a standard for that. So that's one thing. Um, I want to say the TSA Visual Dictionary said that, but I don't know if it said it anywhere else. Um,
Mhm.
but I remember, and this might be aftermath. This just might be my brain making things up.
Mhm.
Is kind of the idea of when setting up the Republic, didn't want to just take back all the planets that belong to the Empire. It was like, hey, you
Mhm.
can join us willingly. You don't have to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That was kind of the big point of doing a lot of this. Was like she
Mhm.
wanted planets to join willingly, which probably smart because
Yeah.
you're more likely to get invested in the New Republic thing if you're joining of your own free will instead of just like let's strong arm everybody into the
Yeah.
New Republic or the Republic again. Um,
And that is a point of tension in the Alex Zagura comic, um,
right.
as well as there's a novel. I'm blanking on the novel. Oh, Princess and the Scoundrel. Right.
Right, kind of join us willingly, right?
Yeah.
And Mon, I think by doing the capital thing, that was kind of part of the concessions made to make it seem like, hey, we're not going to be the Empire
Mhm.
again, right?
Yeah.
So more free reign. So maybe, I mean, maybe you're right that kind of
Mhm.
the separatists who actually had valid points
Yeah.
and not just, or the planets that had the people who had, I mean, not just separatists, the people who had valid points and this tension that's been around for a
Yeah.
while.
General grievances.
Yeah, the general grievances, haha. Mon did take seriously
Mhm.
and just not, but unlike Dooku, who just directs
Mhm.
all that energy into
Mhm.
the evil Sith plot and
Yeah.
genocide and the Grievous stuff, probably does something more constructive with
Mhm.
it. Uh-oh, is my mic going out again?
No, you're good.
Okay,
I'm typing something else and something else. Don't worry.
okay, I'm always never quite sure. Um, so yeah, I mean that's one thing to think about as well. It's like, yeah, you might be right in some sort of weird way. Maybe the
Mhm.
separatists kind of win out in the end. It's
Mhm.
just it's just not in the way they thought, because ultimately that is kind of the big divide of Star Wars is the periphery versus core, at least in this EU sense.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where that thought comes from.
Mhm,
Winning. I mean, winning the Clone Wars. It's kind of like ultimately winning out in the end. In the long scheme of things, um, I mean, the Separatists had to be sacrificed in order for this to happen. It's true. I mean, they've by and large gone away, as
mhm,
far as I know. It's a big galaxy, but ultimately, I mean, that's the thing is if we take the Skywalker saga as this one continuous story, which is kind of what I'm getting at here. It's
mhm,
cyclical and it's continual. That the Clone Wars leads directly to the Galactic Civil War,
mhm.
and then the Galactic Civil War out of the ashes of that ultimately comes the First Order, um, the Imperial Remnant, and just this whole Thrawn Imperial Remnant conflict with the New Republic. It is called Star Wars. That's really one
I-
Star War.
mhm,
So that's the thing is
true.
all that they have to be ground into the dust there. But um, you know, at least the Skywalker saga is the story of this rise and fall of the Galactic Empire
Mhm.
and its uh, consequent, the First Order.
Yeah, I want to just kind of think about institutions. We still got a little
Hmm.
more time before we got to wrap up. Of
Hmm.
kind of go back to what we talked about, people and factions, and
Hmm.
I kind of wonder. It's like
Hmm.
how many of the same people need to be in an institution before it's just a continuation of the institution, or when it's
Sure.
something new. And it's something I think about a lot, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's like, hey, me and Matthew, let's start a new pot. Let's, we're going to destroy this institution of Ion Cannon, and then we're
Yep.
going to reform a new institution. Is it just Ion Cannons too, or is it something new? All right,
On Monday or Wednesday?
that's true.
Just kidding.
Monday,
I'm kidding.
clearly.
Hmm.
Right? Again, it's sort of like, is the First Order a new thing or the old thing because it got all those X
Yeah.
Imperials?
It's the Ship of Theseus thing.
Right. But
Yeah.
also, to kind of go back to my point, as the empire kind of crumbled and wavered, you
Hmm.
know, the people who made up that institution of Empire Republic split. Some people split, and then
Yeah.
they reformed a new institution of the new Alliance. That's New Republic.
Hmm.
The Palpatine loyalist and Sith people, they
Hmm.
also split when the Empire crumbled, and they reformed the First Order. I think the First Order is the
Yeah.
majority of that particular faction, and maybe the Sith people are kind of a weird, kind of a offshoot third thing that kind of
Hmm.
all on Exegol.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, but it's interesting. Like, or even in real world, it's like,
Hmm.
well, if all the ex-Nazis are allowed back in to help reform the West German army,
Right.
is it just a continuation of the same thing or the new thing? Some argue it's the same thing because it's got all them same people there. Some argue it might be a new thing because it's trying to not do the same tactics again. Is it? I
Yeah.
don't know. That's for the academics to debate, not me.
I mean,
So
there's even church parallels, right? Is the Church of England in continuity with the medieval English church, or is it rupture after the Reformation? Or I mean, how about after the Civil War, after Reconstruction? Maybe you'll know the answer to this. How many Confederate troops, how many Confederate generals were reintegrated?
It's true. I mean, that's kind of the whole sad story of Reconstruction is like, at some point, we kind of just pull back from the South. The South's still technically in the Union, but all them Confederates gets like slowly get back into power and undo a lot of the stuff of like black mayors in the South, and that's where Jim Crow happens, folks. And yay!
I mean, is the American Civil War actually over, or is it still going?
Reconstruction was botched, so there's something to be said for that. So
that's kind of something I'm wondering nowadays.
I mean, everyone was wondering that since the 60s and 70s.
Sure.
60s.
Okay, good. I'm not old.
I
mean, because Kennedy had to use the Commerce Clause to stamp it out. It's true.
Well, I mean, even political parties, right? Like, kind of go back to America for a hot second. Because we have this really, really, really bad two-party system. The parties have all these factions in it, and if you ever wondered, like, why things are the way they are, it's because the people who made up those factions switched parties, and the factions kind of split. So, like, the Democrats for years had the South.
And they were the conservative party.
Yeah, they were we want the people of color in their place party. But also, it was a weird coalition in the 30s because you had that, but then you had the kind of the FDR, New York, Boston banker, New Deal people who had a little bit more of a progressive edge. Probably not by much, but I think if they were a little bit more like, yeah, we're not that, we're kind of okay.
Yeah,
this is this. And then the Republican Party is also was very much the North, big bank, Boston kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and that ends when Lyndon Johnson signs the Civil Rights Act, and the whole South is like, you betrayed us, LBJ, you Texan traitor. And then all those Democrats go to the Republicans because Nixon wants back at the presidency. So Nixon's like, hey, this whole faction is now kind of lost. I'll reincorporate into the Republican Party. And then that kind of comes the Reagan coalition with the Christians. And then that kind of just becomes eventually Trump and MAGA. And it's a long story. And now Dems are kind of like suburban, urban capitalism, but we are okay with minorities and people of color and queer people and transgender people.
The Democrats are incredibly divided.
Yeah, but I think that too. But I mean, that's our.
There's AOC and Zoran.
Yeah.
And then there's I don't know,
Chuck Schumer, I guess. Chuck Schumer.
Sure.
Joe Manchin. No, he's gone now, but
he probably Zoran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo.
That is true. Yeah, and that's just New York.
Yeah.
I mean, I would argue the Republicans are just as divided, but Trump is just very good at papering over because he's good at lying through his mouth and saying it's like saying everything at once and meaning nothing in all of it.
Well, also holding people ransom and just
that too.
It's very strongly controlling things, right?
Right,
so
but
they're all falling in line.
But once he's gone, all the factions are gonna kind of come at it because they all hate each other. Which is kind of like what Palpatine was doing, right? Like,
Exactly.
you think Masameda, Tarkin, and Vader and Thrawn all liked each other, or even agreed on things? No. Sometimes they agree with things. Like, I mean, Vader was like, Tarkin wanted the Death Star. Vader was apathetic about it. Thrawn was like, this is probably not a good idea. And Masameda was just like, I'll do whatever you want, Palpatine. Can I kiss your feet?
Jump high. I think Tarkin and Vader liked each other. Or respected each other.
Yeah, they respected
if they were capable of liking anybody, they respected each other.
That's true. I know, and Thrawn and Vader got along, at least in terms of working conditions. But I mean, in
Yeah,
terms of like, if they, like Palpatine, like they probably would form coalitions
yeah,
if Palpatine died and stuff like that,
yeah.
and different factions. But again, it is that kind of question of like, are we just rebrand? Do people just rebrand themselves, but it's still the same thing? It's
Yeah.
hard to say.
I mean, here's the thing about Star Wars. Again, it's a big galaxy.
Right.
There's got to be lots of folks around who, like the Jack Black character, right?
Hmm.
He's a small, minor example. I want a bigger example of an Imperial who's trying to make it in the New Republic. Um,
You got the
like
doctor. You got the Doctor Pershing.
Dr. Pershing, yeah. But I mean, even someone was with the Empire and then says, okay, I'm gonna switch. They lost. All right, I'll play nice. I mean, maybe someone who had a genuine change of heart, or maybe someone who was just more pragmatic.
You like
Um,
Alphabet Squadron? I mean, that's about an Imperial defect. I mean, we get lots of Imperial defectors. To be
I
fair,
need to read that trilogy.
I mean that's
Big
kind
gap
of,
in my yeah.
it's really good. I
Mhm.
mean, I would like to see, if I want to see that. I don't want
Mhm.
to see like a soldier, because we always get like the soldier who
Yeah,
defects. I'm more curious. I mean, I kind of am more curious of like, I mean, how high ranking did the New Republic get before it's like, okay, you gotta go to jail, right? Because like we know
right.
Moff Gideon was supposedly supposed to go to jail and
Yeah.
get executed.
Mm,
I don't think if Thrawn had been captured, he would have been probably
yes.
reintegrated, or like if he probably would have gotten some jail time.
Hmm.
Palpatine's going to jail or worse, if
Yeah.
he got captured. Vader probably going to jail, even if he was redeemed and probably was like, "Hey, can I still see my son on weekends?" But
Well, there's another question, right? Is like, oh, there was the spy, oh my goodness, in the Aftermath trilogy.
oh yeah, Shinjir.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Rath Singer, Rath Villas, rather. Um, yeah, there's an example.
We got to
Somebody
be Mon
who,
Mothma's aide, so that was
yeah, genuinely, because that's the thing is good Imperials, as in skilled Imperials, can be New Republic assets, right? And
it's a
so
dangerous thing,
it
though. I
is,
think
it
is the
is,
question. Because
it
remember,
is a
in
risk.
Ahsoka, we see that I like, hey, they don't care. They just do it for the money. Then
Yeah,
long live the Empire.
the guy in
Kill 'em.
Corellia, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um.
yeah,
But
I mean, I'll just talk about successor states and then just successor people. Yeah, the ship of Theseus, right? If
right.
if a whole bunch of Imperials decide to become part of the New Republic, is it still the Empire, or is it the New Republic?
Maybe this
Kind of
is
the
where
reverse ship of Theseus, the opposite of the ship of Theseus.
I,
There it is.
I mean, maybe the question is people slash ideology,
Yeah,
because if you got a bunch of people who are
true.
like, I want to join the military, New Republic military, and it's just like, let's just go back to doing what we were doing before. We're just
Hmm.
now we changed our logos.
Yeah,
Then yeah, it's
rebrand.
probably the same thing.
Yeah,
But if we're like, if the Thrawn fans out there who think Thrawn is a good guy truly believe this, then Thrawn would be like, I believe in democracy now, Mon Mothma. One person, one vote, the freedom of life. I have atoned for my sins. I do not believe in massacring people. Um then yeah, that is kind of if these people have a deadly change of heart and the ideals of
yeah.
democracy, then yeah. And
I
I think
mean,
that
sorry.
and I
No,
would
go
say
ahead.
that, and I think that's kind of what we see a
Uh,
little bit in Ahsoka and the Mandoverse is with these
mhm.
former Imperials, is which ones are the genuine change of heart, like, oh yeah, I regret everything I did, and then
Yeah,
which ones are like they still have the temptations, like, no, maybe we should use force and strength against
mhm.
our enemies and bombard the civilians for their treachery.
I mean, well, here wasn't there. I mean, this is probably a naive thought, but I wasn't there a moment, maybe a few years after the fall of the Soviet Union,
Mhm.
where like members of the Communist Party uh, ran for their parliament and said, "Okay, we're gonna be Democrats now." No, obviously there was, I mean, perestroika and all that was on the way towards more democratization, but Gorbachev kind of loosening
Actually,
things.
yes,
But
I have that story.
but
So in
again, there were high-ranking folks in the Soviet government who, when Russia for the 5 minutes it was a functioning liberal democracy, uh, actually were an active part of the functioning liberal democracy.
yes,
Yeah.
actually, that's so true. The Communist Party of Russia
Mhm.
ran for parliament. Whether or not they ever thought they were going to get the Soviet Union back if they won is a whole other question. But they
Mhm.
did do it. They played the game.
Mhm.
They won, and then Yeltsin sent in tanks because he's like, I want to steamroll this tech capitalist privatization thing
Mhm.
and have a very powerful presidency to do that. And he's like, screw you, communists. I'm not going to let you win. So he sent in the military, crushed
Sure.
that. And the Communist Party is sort of now kind of just been a loyal opposition. We get votes in parliament, but we know we're never going to win kind of a thing. And they're kind of useless these days.
So it was a capitalist authoritarian
Oh, yeah.
who yeah,
Who ironically was a former Soviet bureaucrat.
yeah, me too. So there's that. I
So,
think. I mean, another example. This is a far more benign example. I think there was some monarchy in Europe somewhere. I forget. And the country just decided against the monarchy. This wave of republicanism won out. But then the king ran for president and won. And now that's the thing is Western monarchs are incredibly pro-democratic. It's just they see their office as safeguarding democracy now. But
there
yeah,
are a few cases in Latin America.
yeah,
Like, there's one military dictator in Bolivia who came to power in a military coup in the 70s. And then, like 30 years later, post Cold War, kind of post that kind of era, he ran for president and won.
yeah,
So there have been times where like former military dictators kind of eventually they have to step down and they kind of, I mean, they either or they just
yeah.
go away, or sometimes there have been cases where it's like, okay, I got to play now by the new rules of the game.
Mhm.
I'll run for president, and I
Mm,
won.
right.
And that has happened. That has happened where it's like, you
Mhm.
get I mean, in some ways, that was how Hitler came to power, right? Like, he tried a putsch, he tried the violent way,
Mhm.
realized, okay, I'm not popular enough for this after some jail time, and he got out. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, my fellow Nazis, we can't do the malicious thing anymore. We're going to play by the rules of the game. We're gonna win.
Right.
We're gonna win. We're gonna win the game, and then when we win the game, then we destroy the game.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
So that has happened, and there have been sometimes just military dictators who like, okay, I can't do this. I have to run the democratic way. Liberalize up.
Yeah. That's kind of
Lots.
what I'm getting at. But
Franco after he died, a lot of
Mhm.
his loyalists. I mean, there was some hardliners, but the king and a lot of the bureaucrats who
Mhm.
weren't kind of all very militant about it were kind of like, all right, we can't keep this whole kind of quasi-military fascist thing anymore. Let's just constitutional monarchy. We don't have to worry about the communists taking over or
Mhm.
being all revolutionary. So we're all kind of cool with it now. So yeah, that does happen where it's kind of like the elite kind of know we can't do this
Yeah.
hard-fisted thing anymore. The winds of change, but we can still keep power in different ways.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's almost even the Magna Carta
Mhm.
going all the way back to the beginning of
That's
our
true.
tradition of democracy, right? I mean, what that was about was ensuring that the king could maintain some control by appealing to the barons and the landowners. But yeah, it's a complicated thing, morally complicated. I think Star Wars. That's the thing with Star Wars, though, is it likes to tell stories of good guys and bad guys, and that's maybe what's complicated this whole question of
Mhm.
winning the Clone Wars. Why, like I was saying before about how we want to perceive Republic good and Empire bad. Um, yeah, I think it might tell the fairy tale of an Imperial who genuinely had a change of heart and wants to be part of a democratic society. I mean, how realistic is that? Again, High Republic says, hey, we're not. I mean, in Canada we're trying, but we have our problems. I don't know. Western Europe, they're trying, they have their problems.
I mean, if I'm writing this, because I'm a cynical guy,
Right.
Moff Gideon doesn't. I mean, depending on first what Moff Gideon does, he doesn't do this weird clone. I want to take over the world with my clone things. What he should done is first he got to clear his name, make sure that he doesn't go to jail.
Mhm.
Then he comes back and he runs for Senate. He should just run for Senate. Like, if the New Republic's being lenient, like, I got my name cleared. Hey, remember when I was the Moff and everything was cool? And now nothing they're cool because the New Republic sucks?
I mean, there was the whole Night of the Thousand Tears.
Well, let's pretend he clears his name of that, which, and
gets a good lawyer.
Gets a good lawyer, and then returns to his sector that he used to be Moff of, probably has like connections to. He was a Moff of something. And be like, hey, vote for me. I'll bring it back to the good old days.
Yeah.
And then he wins. Like, I'm honestly surprised the First Order didn't just try that instead of like, why do we have to blow up Hosnian Prime? It sounds like he almost had all the senators anyway. Just vote yourself back into power.
Half of them, at least.
Instead of just
go
the hard. You have to go the hard route and just be all militant. Why didn't Snoke run for chancellor?
Is it prequel version?
I mean, obviously, that's the real world answer.
Like we get that story, and also we've got that story. I mean, that's the prequels. That's literally what Palpatine does, right? Runs for chancellor, then uses institutional means to claw power to himself, and amend the Constitution and start a war and get emergency powers. But
I mean, look, you have I think you have the boring answer. But yes, the prequel version. I think if you want to like add like real world subtext and make it kind of cool, is that you kind of go with the idea of, which I always say, what I talk about a lot with who. This is the degenerative form of the Empire, where they don't even have the patience to do the Palpatine thing. They just want it now, so they're just like gun ho about it, and that's why they die so quickly, because they overstretch and they screw themselves over and piss everyone off in 5 seconds.
And just they're not a meritocracy. They're it's who who you're connected to. I'm talking about the real world and the Empire.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a big part of the Empire's downfall. I guess we're getting there now.
I mean,
a big part of the Empire's downfall is all this rule by fear means you succeed not by doing well for the Empire, but by managing your managers. We've all been there. We got to manage our managers a little bit sometimes. It's part of working in an institution or society. But if that becomes the basis of how your system is run, that's why, I don't think Piet is necessarily that much worse than Nita or any of the other ones, but he's the one who knows how to get out of Vader's way. And so he's the one who survives, right? Until the end, until Return of the Jedi. But
Piet seems like someone who could sneak his way into the New Republic military.
Yes.
Like, even not even have a change of heart, just like, I was just following orders.
Or just going with the flow. That's the thing. I can see that. I
mean, if we ignore the books for a second and ignore the whole Thrawn's not good at politics thing, Thrawn's strategy honestly kind of seems a little. I feel like Thrawn, if you could easily just elect your way into government in the New Republic instead of having to do this whole, I need a Night Sister army and I need to like literally go through military force and these counterinsurgency thing. Like, why don't you just pretend to like be like, we were just following orders? I mean, let's face it, people in the real world fall for that.
Yeah.
Look what happened. It's like what happened last year, right?
Right.
Rebrand. The other guy was not. People got sick of the other guy, so it's like, they're always like the Shao Council things. Like, There are loyalists in every star system. But why are you doing all this militant secrecy? Why not just like we're just following orders, and then hey, I'm gonna run for Senate in
If you get
my
it, yeah,
district and go win.
get a good enough campaign going. Yeah.
Thrawn for chancellor, right?
But also it's not. I mean, then we're getting. I mean, this thing with prequel version, George was able to do that and make it a genuinely Star Wars. I mean, he changed what a Star Wars story was, but there is still the space opera aspect of this with the Night Sister Army and the
Right.
the First Order infiltrating and what that means for Rey and the Jedi. And so that's the thing. There's this other aspect to it.
And
it'd be nice to get that. That's the thing, is the institutional, those institutional political stories do need to be a little smaller in order to make sure that we're still having the wider themes of Force mysticism and whatnot. Because I mean, Ahsoka, that's about Mortis, that's about Anakin, that's a bunch of other things. But
and to play devil's advocate even for a hot second, because we know that George did have some ideas for the Imperial Remnant. I do wonder if George himself would be like, I'm kind of repeating myself just by having these Imperials run for Senate, right? Like
it is a little repetitive too.
I love the prequels as much as one person, but it's like at some point it's like they're just doing the same thing again, and I think even I mean, in some ways, in the weird thing about the First Order and the Thrawn thing is it's depicted as the same thing again, and it kind of is, but it's also not. It's just not depicted well enough to kind of be new, but in the kind of conceptual idea, it's new. Because before the Hosnian Prime, I mean, I don't want to get to. I mean, we're kind of derailing, so I think this is our sign to almost wrap up here.
Yeah.
But I'll say, before Hosnian Prime, there is this the First Order New Republic conflict is a little more interesting in terms of the idea of you have the First Order as this kind of small thing, the New Republic, and then the New Republic literally funding an insurgency. It's called the Cold War, right? It's the U.S.-Soviet Cold War, and the U.S. is funding anti-Soviet resistance. Gingrich would be happy about that that telling. And again with Thrawn, it is kind of more trying to be I mean, I think the idea is with the Imperial Remnant in the Mandoverse with Thrawn, it's these guys are so anti-democracy. They're militant. We keep our blasters and our Star Destroyers, and we're gonna just pick at you like the rebels. We're gonna do to you what you did to us. We're the rebels now, right? And they kind of are.
We're the rebels now. Yeah. I mean, they're fighting against. They kind of take it to. No, it's the other way around. They still destroy the Death Star thing. The Resistance, Poe Dameron still flies through a trench, but. Yeah,
but more in Thrawn states, they're definitely. I mean, they're scrappy. They got.
Yeah.
They're kind of living in the huts. So anyway,
yeah.
I think I tangented a little too much, but
we went all over the place because the real answer to who won the Clone Wars is Sheev Palpatine. That's still the real answer.
It is. It is.
I will say the one thing I will say is, I do wish the sequels, if it really wanted to set it apart from the original trilogy more, it would have incorporated some more of the politics, right? It would have the prequels be maybe the other way around. The original trilogy coming out first be the thesis, the prequels coming out second be the antithesis, and then the prequels being the sequels being the synthesis.
I feel like it's halfway there, and that's what's frustrating. It's halfway there because I feel like in some way that is, another way that not.
Well, but it could have. Well, here's the thing: Bloodline is that kind of synthesis, right? With Clarice Indian.
I guess I mean overall, not the politics. I think I agree.
No, but what I'm saying is incorporating the politics. It does, with Rey and the Jedi. I think to some extent, especially the Last Jedi. There, but in terms of the politics of it, I think if we really want to mark the First Order away from the Empire, get them to do a little bit of what you were doing or you were saying of have some of them run for the Senate. Show that. And so that's what I mean by Clarice Indian being an example of this sort of synthesis of here's the First Order, you know, the First Order, basically, taking control of the galaxy, both through a large oppressive pointy ship army that is led ultimately by Palpatine, and through Senate maneuvering, which is of course also what Palpatine would do, but you maybe have more factions there, right? That's the thing the sequels don't really do, is show that side of Palpatine, the side of the master manipulator.
I mean, forget Palpatine. What's Snoke doing? I think that's his job. I
Yeah,
feel like he's supposed to be the one doing that.
I mean,
stuff.
Snoke could have been almost like a Dooku a little bit,
I want to feel like I'm going to say this, Matthew. I'm going to say something interesting.
Mhm.
I think Snoke is a Dooku. I just
Yeah.
don't think the movie do a good job of portraying it. But I want to say there's
Yeah.
like expanded media that does, and I even think in some ways Rise of Kylo Ren, not Rise of Kylo Ren, a little bit about Rise of Kylo Ren and the Legacy
Like,
Vader are hinting more at that with Snoke, that he is like a Dooku-like warlord character with an Imperial fetish.
Interesting. Dooku, yeah. Snoke. I mean, Snoke. To the extent that Snoke actually comes up in Legacy of Vader, I don't know, but maybe.
Well, I mean, I think the sequels. I think you have to read sequel books in order to get that. Not in the film, but I get a lot of the cool stuff of the prequels isn't even in the films. To be fair.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
Interesting. Sheev and the Clone Wars. Different aspects of the Republic have been reconfigured into the Empire. So they won the Clone Wars. Different aspects of the Separatists have been reconfigured into the Empire, but they mostly lost. But then the aspects of the New Republic ultimately win. And then, Sheev Palpatine and Mita Bonteri are the winners of the Clone Wars. Those are answers.
Or is it just Mina Bonteri? Because Palpatine dies, so it's like, is Mina the true winner of the Clone Wars?
Well, Mina dies too.
Oh, that's true. But Mina's ideas live on, and
her ideas live on. There we
Palpatine's ideas get exploded.
There we go. So, on that note, it's a good place to wrap things up. There you go. Thanks, folks, for joining us down below. We're not down below, and for watching this one here. Let us know what you thought of the Mando Grogu trailer teaser, I should say. I'm gonna call it a teaser of it's formally a trailer, but let's call it a teaser of Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past, of who won the Clone Wars and everything else we talked about. Kind of rambly, but it's the thing. This kind of conversation spins out all these other lines of inquiry and lines of what it raises more questions than it answers, because what we're really getting at is Star Wars continuity and history and institutional history over time. So I need to read Chris Kempshill's book too.
That's another thing that makes the First Order way more interesting.
Yeah, I've got to read that. Maybe even after Bad Batch, when I finish that.
I mean, I'll just say this, Matthew. All the books and comics that have sequel trilogy stuff make the First Order more interesting.
Yeah,
even Legacy Vader's making the First Order more interesting.
Oh, it is, and there's even the Galactic Star Cruiser comic by Ethan Sachs, Mil Sliney, had. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of set in and around, at least issue 5 is set in and around. The framing device. It's also in issue 5. The actual story on the hotel that you can no longer go to. Make First Order pretty interesting. So yes. Anyways, thanks for joining us. Comment below if you want to share your thoughts. Comment on the socials and on the Discord. Please do give this video a like and a share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Joel, whatever else we could say about this conversation, it was fun. I'll say
it
that.
was fun. Rambly, it was fun. I apologize if it was rambly.
Interesting, different ideas, different things that came to mind. Where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at JID20234 on Blue Sky, JID20234 on Blue Sky. I'm also on the Star Wars Underworld Discord, where you can always talk to me, ask me questions, ask me what I thought about the trailer, all sorts of fun stuff. And of course, we have the Ion Cannon Blue Sky, which I almost locked myself out of for a few days, but I got back in.
We're
I'm
back.
back
We're good.
on.
There
I
you
am
go.
back in.
That's just at Ion Cannon or ioncannon.bisky.social, as I like to say. You can follow my personal Instagram at MNEUG1138. That's also Threads and Blue Sky there. Twitter, NEUG485. Probably tweeting about some Blue Jays and soccer and Taylor Swift coming up. So that'll be fun. Yeah, good old content there on the Instagram and on the social media. Of course, again, ioncannon.biscuit.social. And for everything around the Underworld Network, that's Instagram, that's Twitter, that's this here Facebook page. If you're watching on Facebook, hello. Yeah, at the SWU. Yeah, but does it next week? I think we forgot what we're going to talk about next week.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yes. What are we talking about next week, Joe?
I think we decided we're going to talk about the most nerdiest thing of
Yes.
Star Wars: canon contradictions, and how do we deal with it?
We are revisiting our classic Ion Cannon question. We kind of started coming up 3 years ago, 4 years ago. When was this time? What is time?
What is time?
Right. With canon continuity, I'm gonna look back and say, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. What I want this episode to be about. How has our perspective changed? How's my perspective changed in the last number of years? And what stays the same and what changes? And yeah, why these contradictions don't bother me as much anymore, and why the things I care about want to stay the same. So yeah, join us for that very classic. Going to be another classic Ion Cannon episode, but just like this one, hopefully more coherent. Yeah, definitely. Check that out. Also, check out Tractor Beam comic reviews this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And what after Chaos Agent, and yeah, the Mando Grogu teaser trailer thing, and Joel will jump in for that. I got to tell Chris that. So yeah, check that out.
Imagine him listening now. Like, what? Sorry.
There we go. He's busy. He's somewhere else. I know where he is.
Okay.
Anyways, yes. So yeah, please do check that out, and then join us back next Monday talking all about canon continuity and discontinuity and whatnot. But Joel, this has been fun. Again, I'll say this has been fun. It's been interesting. Until next week, let's blow this thing and head home.